and welcome to another episode of I Can DIY That. If you're new here, my name's Alli and I make videos all about crafting a happier life. Now last time I did a $10 DIY challenge where I could only spend $10 to recreate this anthropology planter, and I think I did a pretty good job at it. Now this time I wanted to do something a little different. My challenge this time is to recreate Urban Outfitters decor. So what I have done is chose 3 different decor items off of Urban Outfitters website that I know I can DIY for a significantly less amount of money than it would cost to actually buy the item. So the first DIY I'm going to be recreating is this hanging jewelry organizer. The thing with this one is by the time I got everything purchased and set up to film this video, you can no longer buy it on Urban Outfitters website, and I also don't remember how much it cost originally. I think it was somewhere in the $50 to $60 range, but hey, you know what? You can no longer buy it, so now I guess your only option is to DIY it, so really this is just a win-win situation, right? So what I bought for this as the base is this frame. Now I know this doesn't look exactly like the Urban Outfitters one, and it is a little bit bigger in size, but this one's maybe going to be more like a cute little cousin of the Urban Outfitters jewelry organizer, and I think it's still going to turn out pretty cute. So the first thing we need to do is disassemble this frame. With the frame disassembled, I took a piece of foam poster board, which I got at the dollar store, and traced the inside of the frame onto it and cut it out. Once the foam was cut out, I laid it on top of a piece of canvas duck cloth in a nice neutral color and cut in all the corners. That way the material would wrap seamlessly around the piece of foam, then just hot glued all of the edges down. Then I placed that piece on the inside of the frame, and my advice would probably be cut the foam with a craft knife instead of scissors. That way it fits a little bit nicer than mine did here. And after that, I just put some glue on the back corners and reinserted the back of the frame. So now that the frame is all done, it's time to make the different little pieces on the frame that you hang the jewelry from. So I had to be a little bit creative with this, and I found a couple pieces. I found these wood square and circles. These are 3/4 of an inch, and these are 1 1/4 inch squares. These will make the little white details that are holding the 2 little like necklace holders. So the first thing I did was paint all of the little wood pieces, that way they could dry, and then I moved on to assembling the 2 necklace holders. Then I also found these dowel rods. Now they're actually for a large pegboard thing that the craft store was selling. They're already cut at 5.5 inches, which is perfect in size, and I don't have a saw, so I'm unable to cut a dowel rod down myself, so these were already pre-packaged and ready to go. Now, the one thing that caused a little bit of trouble though is I can't really use 2 of these, because if you look at the Urban Outfitters one, the little necklace holder on top is a tiny bit shorter, so I really had to be creative with this one, and I found this little wooden rolling pin. So I'm gonna try and see if I can remove the little red ends off of this. So let's give that a try right now. And I'm gonna just try to chisel this off right here. Might not work. Okay, trying something different. I have pliers this time. Yes! All right, we have our little dowel. Perfect. So with that piece disassembled, I took the duck cloth and wrapped it around each of the dowels, making sure to glue it down on the edges as well as both ends. Then I grabbed the frame and glued on the 2 square pieces. and attached the necklace holders with the larger one on the bottom and the bigger one on top. Then I decided I didn't like my placement of the bigger necklace holder, so I was luckily able to pull it off of the backing and reapply it a little bit lower down. Then I took some upholstery nails, which you can find at the craft store, and since I used a foam backing, all I had to do was push them into the foam. So then I took a ruler to make sure that I place each of the nails exactly 1.5 inches on the top and bottom row. So this is the finished piece. It's not exactly like the original, and it's definitely far from perfect, but I gave this one a pretty solid try. I knew this would be a pretty complicated DIY to recreate. As I said at the beginning, I don't remember how much this cost originally, since you can no longer buy it from Urban Outfitters' website. However, I was able to make it for $12.50. So I think that this is quite a steal, and the overall effect is actually pretty good. And once I go in and touch up some of this white paint, I think it's gonna look pretty professional and people probably won't even notice the difference. So I'm gonna do those touch-ups and let's see what it looks like all styled. Okay, so this next DIY I'm going to be making is very similar to two different DIYs I did in a video a long time ago. Like, it was the second DIY video on this channel, and we're going to combine them all together to make an awesome moon phase hanging banner. Now this banner comes in at $29 if you were to purchase it from Urban Outfitters directly, but I'm going to show you how to DIY it for just over $8. So let's dive right into that very first step. So I wanted to make sure that this banner was the exact size as the one that Urban Outfitters sells, so I cut the material at 35 inches long by 8 inches wide. That way I could account for hemming in the edges. So to hem in the edges, I just measured 1/2 inch on each side and used some pins and a ruler just to make sure that it was pretty even, because you will be able to tell if the hem isn't completely perfect when it's up on the wall. And used some hot glue to secure the edges. I didn't think I needed to sew for this project since it is just a wall decor piece, but you could totally sew it if you want to. Then on top, what I did was fold the material over an entire inch. That way you can create the little pocket to insert the dowel. I cut the dowel rod at 8 inches, gave it a nice little sand on the rough edge, and inserted that right into the banner. After that, I just took some thin rope, wrapped it around the edges of the dowel, and created the little piece to use to hang it on the wall. Okay, so that's the banner and it is looking really good. Now it's time to hopefully not ruin it by painting on the moon phases, and to hopefully make sure that I don't mess it up, I'm going to be using this lid to trace circles onto the banner where the different moon phases will go, and then fill those in with some black paint. With the moons painted on, I bought 14 inches of black fringe. That way I could fold it in half just so it'd look a little bit fuller, but that's completely optional. Glued the fringe in half and then glued it on to the bottom of the banner. Okay, so here is the finished banner. Oh my goodness, I absolutely love how this turned out. So the original cost, if you would have bought this from Urban Outfitters, was $29, and I was able to recreate it for $8.37. And I think it looks just as good as the one that you could buy from the store. It's not even that complicated to make. Anybody could make this. So now I just can't wait to see this up on my wall. So let's show those B-roll clips of this all nice and styled. This This final Urban Outfitters recreation is a little bit more of a hack than a DIY. It doesn't involve too many technical DIY skills, but since the first two DIYs were pretty involved, I figured why not throw on an easy one at the end that anyone can make. Basically, all you're going to need for this DIY is a wooden frame and a piece of scrapbook paper. All I did was disassemble the frame, then take the glass and trace it onto the piece of scrapbook paper and cut that out. So now we have our disassembled frame and our little scrapbook paper, and all we're gonna do is, put it back together. But instead of putting the paper in the normal way so that, it's showing through the front of the frame, we're actually going to use the back. We're actually gonna use the back of the frame as the top of the tray. The only thing you really have to keep in mind with this DIY is you do have to be kind of careful since all the pieces can easily just dump out. But I don't really think it's a problem since it's a tray and it will be sitting on a surface versus, hanging or being tilted around. And if you really were worried about it being secure with the glass, you could put a little glue in each corner just to make sure it doesn't fall apart. But what I like about it this way is that you can remove the glass and the paper and switch it out for whatever matches your mood or your decor. If you were to buy this tray, it would cost you $20, and I was able to make it for $6.36. Alright, so that concludes my I Can DIY This Urban Outfitters edition. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I'm actually pretty proud of how all of these DIYs turned out. They could have went horribly wrong. Let me know in the comments how you think I did trying to recreate these DIYs for a way cheaper price. And also give this video a like if you want me to continue doing this I Can DIY This series. I might do other versions and other different challenges throughout if this is something that you still want to see. And finally, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. That's all I have for you in this video, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!